You see, Gallia is divided into three parts. In one part live the Belgae, in another the Aquitani, and in the third the Galli. Hello there, I'm Simon. Welcome to my channel. It is time to continue our journey through time, because this week I'm continuing my walkthrough of the history of Belgium. So if you haven't seen part 1 or you want a refresher, I'll leave a link up here and down there. I hope I'm pointing to the right places, because I can't actually see where I'm pointing. Now, where were we? Right, the Celts. Last time I covered the prehistory of Belgium. Now, the term prehistory is used in historiography to mean everything that came before the written sources. So everything we do know stuff about, but not because people told us, but because we pieced it together from archaeological evidence and such. And everything from the moment we do get written sources is called history. Probably has something to do with Herodotus. Everything before this history is called prehistory. Makes sense? So last episode I covered the prehistory, which means today I start history. You see, Gallia is divided into three parts. In one part live the Belgae, in another the Aquitani, and in the third the Galli. That is how the Commentari de Bello Gallico begins, except it was written in Latin, not English, but you knew that, didn't you? The CDBG is a commentary on the Gallic Wars. It's not a very creative title. These ancient books very rarely have an interesting title. The Golden Donkey by Apuleius being the exception. They're always called pretty much exactly what they're about. I think they spent so much time trying to come up with all these stylistic embellishments that they didn't have any time left to find a good title. I got a bit off track there. So in the first half of the 1st century BCE, Gaius Julius Caesar decided he wanted to become emperor. And so he went to Gaul. Why? Prestige. And money. I'm not going to go into that. So if you're interested, ask your local history teacher. What I am going to go into is how he did it. So how did he do it? Divide et impera, which is a Latin phrase you've probably heard before, meaning divide and conquer. He met some tribes around a table to be friends, and others on the battlefields to fight. Now, the war actually began when some Germans were attacking some Gallic villages, and so the Gauls, who were actually just allies of the Romans, asked the Romans for help. So Caesar took some legions and went to help them. But then he kept his army there and boom, war. The Belgae didn't trust Jules, so they formed a coalition led by King Galba. When Jules found out about that, he raised more armies and came for the Belgae. He met the tribe of the Remi, who said they didn't have anything to do with anything, and they kinda sorta told him everything he needed to know. And thus, Jules he convinced some Gallic friends to come over and attack the Belgae. Then the Battle of Bibrax happened, and the Belgian coalition was forced to retreat and separate. Bye-bye coalition. A couple of tribes gave up and surrendered, while some others didn't like what Jules was doing and went to fight even harder. The rest of Gaul was then subdued as well, either by allyship or by the sheer outnumberment, those are words now, by the Roman legion. That is how Caesar conquered Gaul. Well, that and some genuine good battle strategy. And from then on, they worked together to fight more invading Germans, or they rebelled a couple times. I mean, they weren't very successful, but they tried. Well, the Nervi were quite successful, and the Eburones, and the Treveri. And in Gaul there was the whole thing with Vercingetorix. But as soon as the Romans started actually fighting back, it was kinda lost. So from then on, these lands became a Roman province called Gallia Belgica. And soon after, Romanization began. So we got theaters and Roman roads, and just a general intermingling of the local culture with the Roman culture. That's the thing they did a lot. Probably one of the main reasons they were able to dominate for so long. They didn't suppress the local culture like some others, but instead they amalgamated it with their own. making it essentially the same culture. This is our goddess, Solis. Oh, good. She's a sub-persona of our goddess Minerva. What? Uh-huh. That's exactly who she is. Okay. But we can just keep worshipping Solis, right? Sure. Just call her like Solis Minerva or something, and we're good. Okay, admittedly, that's an example from Britannia. But I just couldn't find such a good example from Belgica. Another big thing about this Roman influence is that there were castra popping into existence all over the place. What's a castra? Well, it's a plural form of the word castrum, for a start. A castrum is actually an army camp, because the Roman Empire ran on this principle called Pax Romana, or Pax Armata, which is Latin for Roman peace or armed peace, respectively. And it basically means that the Romans went, don't you dare revolt, or else, peace. Anyway, that's why there were so many army camps all over the place. And that's interesting, because a lot of these castra created like communities around them. And those evolved into villages. And some of them grew into cities that are still around today. And for the first time in history, there was something we might call a proto-Belgium. There was an area that basically encompassed most of modern-day Belgium, and that united a whole bunch of tribes that were previously separated and that were now one people, at least on paper. And so, because of the Roman conquest and the creation of the province of Gallia Belgica, the Belgian people was united for the first time. This is a thing historians like to call imagined communities, where a group of people that are forced to unite for whatever reason, search for things that make them one, that they have in common, and create a common identity that is to some degree artificial or even fictional. And that is what the Romans did to us, or for us, depending on how you look at it. So from here on, Belgian history follows general Roman history. So all goes well, right? For a while, yeah. Then in the 3rd century of the Common Era, a guy called Diocletian, or Diocletianus, realized that the Roman Empire had gotten way too big to actually be ruled by just one emperor. So he decided that from now on, it will be ruled by not one, not two, not even three, but 4 of them. Basically, he divided the empire in 2. A Western Roman Empire on the one hand, and an Eastern Roman Empire on the other. And both parts would be ruled by an Augustus, or emperor, and a Caesar, or sub-emperor. So that totals 4 rulers, which is why it's called a tetrarchy. And Gallia Belgica was part of the Western Empire, which means that for the purposes of this video, I get to completely ignore the Eastern Empire. Here's the thing though, the old province of Gallia Belgica was itself also divided into parts, because dividing Belgium is always a good idea. So Belgica was divided into, get this, Belgica Prima and Belgica Secunda. Oh, and some of it was also part of Germania Inferior. Now, you might remember from school that the Western Empire ended in 476 CE, while the Eastern Empire kept going until 1453. Now, a lot can be said about why the Roman Empire fell. Entire books can and have been written about it, but certainly one of the factors was the so-called barbaric invasions. But I think that's gonna be for next episode. What do you say? Yes, it's camera. What do you think, camera? Shall we keep this for the next episode? Yeah? Alright, so you know what that means. It's time for the YouTube thing. So please comment, like, subscribe, share, ring the bell, and check the links in the description for my social media. Why do I keep repeating that? This is not your first time on YouTube, you know the drill by now. So, anyway, thanks for watching.